Well, everyone's talking about this. It's looking like the Supreme Court is going to uphold the ban on TikTok starting this weekend. If the ban goes into effect, Americans can still see TikToks, but the app will stop working due to a lack of updates. It's pretty much what happened to President Biden.
Poor Joe Biden. Poor Joe Biden. Chris, these are the bad jokes that I didn't tell for 4 years. Am I right? As because they're a protective cloak around the fading poor Joe Biden. I sure hope when he leaves very soon on Monday, I sure hope they don't let him drive that green Corvette. I'd hate to see that Corvette end up like Joe Biden. You know, a total wreck. Useless to everyone. That'd be terrible. Nice Corvette. We should also check it one more time for classified documents, don't you think? Yes, sir. Well, good Tuesday to you, and welcome back once again. As we speak, the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing is ongoing in the United States Senate. The Democrats are going to try to smear him and slander him and slime him, and maybe they should have Danang Dick. Is Danang Dick going to be in there? Richard Blumenthal, the Democrat senator, who actually did serve in the Marine Corps for a period of time as a young man, and he claimed repeatedly while he was campaigning that he deployed to Vietnam as a Marine, and that he's a Vietnam combat Marine, and he's a Lion Sacagawea. He's what's that guy's name? We already forgot him. You know, Tim Walz. Tim Walz, he was going to be vice president of the United States for a minute, and he bragged about his time. It's a stolen valor thing. Bragged about his time in Iraq as a romping, stomping, life-taking mamma jamma. But he's never went to Iraq. It's pretty amazing stuff. He went on a political junket later, but not as a guardsman. Remarkable things. And we've got disruptions at the Pete Hegseth hearing already. We've got at least a couple of people being dragged out by the police because they're disrupting. And they're Democrats, police will only say they're, and they're using the nightsticks on their heads, which I think is nice. Can you hear that? And it's a great noise. Got a hollow melon noise. Not really any nightsticks. No billy clubs, which is an anti-Irish slur, by the way, billy club. But they've got disruptions, perfectly predictable. I was talking about it with our best girl this morning. The lefties will be there. I'm looking for code pink to disrupt today, too. And they'll yell crazy things, and then they'll be arrested, and it's a badge of honor, and they won't be in any real trouble. It is an insurrection, though. Every one of these disruptions in a Senate hearing, in this case, confirmation hearing, those are all rebellions against an established authority right there on Capitol Hill. Therefore, ipso facto, what they are is insurrections. See? That's and Joe Biden, he suffers from insurrection too. I read that in Time magazine. That's it's sad, but there it is. Got more people being dragged out of the hearing room and carried like they're a carpet. You got to roll them up in a rug like Vince Foster. You know, how did Vince Foster get rolled up in that rug? That was peculiar, don't you think? I think so. Well, in any event, lots going on here in Washington. And we're keeping an eye on everything for you because that's what we do. We do it for a living. We're professionals. It's not for everyone. But and the professional protesters, I love them. They're all crazy lefties, mental issues. Should probably be institutionalized. We should build a gulag, maybe a gulag archipelago. Where would we put them? We'd have to put them all in Democrat states. We'll put them in Vermont and set up camps out there. They can break rocks with sledgehammers. I think that'd be fun. All right, so the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing going on, and Pete Hegseth talking about, making the United States military a lethal fighting force rather than a transgender, culturally diverse social experiment as the Democrats view the United States military. And also, I looked it up today because I wanted to know our current Secretary of Defense. Yes, we do actually have a current Secretary of Defense. His name is Lloyd Austin, and Lloyd Austin has been Secretary of Defense for the last 4 years, basically. And he was a U.S. Army officer and became a four-star general, and had quite an Army career, I've got to say. And then because the left is here, they decided to make a military officer the Secretary of Defense, usually reserved for a civilian. You know, we have civilian control of the military. But now the left is here, and you remember they had troops all over Washington, D.C., and troops on Capitol Hill, and military vehicles all over downtown D.C. because they're very militaristic. The left, who's more militaristic than the left, honestly? And they're all their socialist worker buddies. That's stuff. But Lloyd Austin, he was also what is the word that the people used at CNN is facing. He faced a confirmation hearing too, and he got 93 votes in favor of 100 senators. Right, 93 voted in favor of confirming Lloyd Austin, four-star general, to the civilian post of Secretary of Defense. And that means almost every Republican voted to confirm Lloyd Austin. There were only 2 no votes against him. And I know this has become a math quiz, but 5 did not vote. There were 5 non-voting. Maybe they weren't present for the vote, knew he was going to be confirmed in a landslide. Not a big deal. But isn't that remarkable that Lloyd Austin, the current Secretary of Defense, a military officer taking a civilian job, 93 yes votes to confirm, 2 no votes to not confirm, and 5 senators not voting. Remarkable. Now, what kind of a vote do you think Pete Hegseth is going to get? I predict that, well, maybe 2 Democrats will vote in favor of confirming Pete Hegseth. Maybe 2 Democrats. I wouldn't bet money on that, though, because, you know, they're against it, whatever it is. It's pretty, you know, they're like Groucho Marx. You know, it's another Groucho Marx thing. Whatever it is, I'm against it. No matter what it's for or who commenced it, I'm against it. There are going to be a lot of Democrats that are going to live that way during the confirmation hearings of President Trump's cabinet because they're just contrarians. They're against you because they're political extremists. You know, that's how they are. There are a lot of them who are like that. So we've got that going on. And we're going to keep a close eye on that for you. And we'll try to grab the stuff of the crazy people being dragged out of there. And we had one of them, the police came in, literally picked him up, put him on their shoulders like a rug, like a rolled-up rug. I don't even know what else to compare it to because there's no piece of furniture shaped like that. So it's like a rolled-up rug, and like 3 or 4 officers had to carry. So here are left-wing, Democrats, just run-of-the-mill criminal Democrats disrupting the confirmation hearing.
Literally having my back.
You are a misogynist. Not only that, you are a Christian Zionist.
What? You're a Christian? You're a misogynist and a Christian something?
I want to thank the authorities for their swift reaction.
So, yeah, well, I think they were prepared because they're ready because they knew that the lefties were flowing in and that, it's a Republican administration now, so lefties are here to insurrect.
Meritocracy, war fighting, accountability, and readiness.
Sounds like a lady, but you can't be sure. Because a lot of their ladies are men, and a lot of their men are ladies. Drag her out. Should do a little inquisition. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks. And again, you got to thank the police a lot because the, Democrats are here, and you know how they behave. They're screwy, absolutely screwy. They are. Wah. Yeah, and Pete Hegseth put out his opening statement ahead of time, the full text of his opening statement, and he wants to make the military strong and not use it as a social experiment for gender-bending, race-focused feminism, because, the military is supposed to be a killing machine. Hopefully you never have to call on it as president, but when you do have to call on it, the purpose of the United States military is to kill people and break things. That's the role of the United States military. But the Democrats see it as a pool of people that they can use and abuse for their left-wing, gender-warped, mental experimentation. That's your Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. All right, what do we've got? We've got all kinds of wacky stuff. Let's go to number 5. Soundbite number 5. This is the Lizard King, as he is widely known. Chuck Schumer is a very scaly person, and serpentine. Chuck Schumer talking about Pete Hegseth, and I don't think he's a friend of civilization, Chuck Schumer.
Is someone with Pete Hegseth's alleged history really the kind of person we want at the helm?
How about yours?
In a very, very important situation?
Yes.
Dangerous situation like that?
Why is it dangerous?
Is that really in the best interests of American safety? That's something senators should ask themselves. American
safety. Well, I remember when President Trump was president, there was no war in Europe. Russia had not invaded Ukraine, although under Obama-Biden, they did invade the Crimea, Ukraine, and then nothing, didn't attack anybody under Trump. And then Biden came in and they attacked Ukraine all out. Remarkable stuff. And Joe Biden was bragging about that yesterday in his speech at the State Department. So Chuck Schumer, whose own past ought to be called into question, his own present ought to be called into question. Somebody should ask him why he looks like a lizard and what that weird, creepy smile is about. With Pete Hegseth history, what, the 2 Bronze Stars, is that the history you're talking about? Serving in Iraq in combat, serving in Afghanistan in combat, serving at Guantanamo Bay, where the Democrats are trying to let everyone go and relieving Khalid Sheikh Mohammed of the threat, the danger of a death penalty. The Democrats are not on the side of civilization. They're not Democrats at all. They're lefties. Then there's Da Nang Dick. Richard Blumenthal, Democrat senator. And how did he get so rich? I'm not sure how he got so wealthy. But here's the guy who actually served as a Marine Corps officer. That's quite good enough. But then he lied repeatedly that he deployed to Vietnam when he never did.
There has never been a nominee for an office of such serious consequence who is so unqualified and unprepared in recent American history.
In recent American history, really? Shall we start going down the list of Joe Biden nominees and his cabinet picks? Where's who's chest feeding at home? Honestly, they've got Democrats. How about that guy at the luggage thief, the cross-dressing luggage thief? Sam Brinton, in charge of nuclear waste at the Energy Department. How about that? And our transportation secretary is at home chest feeding, and he's a man. What's going on with that? Tammy Duckworth actually did serve in combat and was wounded, and she went on MSDNC with Joyless Reed, who's a radical political extremist. And they're cackling about Pete Hegseth, who, was in shoot-em-ups in Afghanistan and Iraq and dealing with the troglodytes at Guantanamo Bay.
This man is not qualified to run an Applebee's, let alone the Department of Defense. I mean, your local Applebee's manager has managed more people and a bigger budget than he has, for crying out loud.
For crying out loud. Sure, that's what's going on. I don't think that's the case, but your Democrat Party, they are something, aren't they? Yeah, so he's facing the Inquisition. The Democrats are just there to do damage. They just want to damage people. And again, their Secretary of Defense, who was a career Army officer, got 93 votes in favor, 2 votes against, and 5 not showing up because, why would they? Sure. We've got plenty more coming up. Republicans are okay with Pete Hegseth. We've got that coming up. And And our news media, what is wrong with those people? Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, let's see. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to line 8. Let's go to Tsunami Tom, because his name is Tsunami Tom. I can't resist. Let's go to Tsunami Tom. You're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
How you doing? I'm the guy that splashed you. That's why I keep calling myself that.
Oh, yeah, okay, out on the river, yeah, on the Trump boat parade. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So I'm getting tired of us constantly having to be bipartisan when it's something Democrats want, confirmation hearings, bills, whatever it might be, and the other side just constantly sticks together. And it's infuriating because we keep losing because we keep trying to be civilized, and they are not. It's like bringing a butter knife to a gunfight is the way I always put it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times we need to get burned like this before our side learns the lesson. We need to play dirty like they do.
Well, that has been a hot debate in Washington for many years because the Republicans always play by Marcus of Queensberry rules and no low blows, no tricks. And the Democrats don't know that there's any other way than, dirty tricks and low blows 100% of the time. And they will destroy your family, wreck you in the eyes of your children. They'll ruin your marriage. They'll do anything they can for one more seat in the House of Representatives to try to keep you off the Supreme Court.
They'll impeach you for a phone call.
Right.
Come on.
Asking about Joe Biden and the Biden family getting millions of dollars from Ukraine for Hunter Biden's no-show job. And you're right, Donald Trump was impeached for asking about that. The New York Times should have been asking about it in the Washington Post and 60 Minutes, but none of them did they?
Nope.
Yeah. And Tsunami Tom, I like that. Yeah, because we're out on the Potomac River, the mighty Potomac River, Washington, D.C., and I was out on a pontoon boat with our friend Corey, and having a great time. And it was the Trump boat parade, right? We gathered in Alexandria, Virginia, and set out. And we were just kind of motoring back and forth. And you got a fast boat and came whipping up by us and fired some water across. And I got a little drenched, but you're out on the water on a boat, for crying out loud. And my phone, but I don't like my phone very much. So, I was fine with I was good with all that, Tom.
Well, I look forward to seeing you out there again sometime.
Me too. Me too. And you can splash me, the next time. It's part of being on a boat. And, that's the fun. We've got a couple of sound bites for you of Pete Hegseth and his confirmation inquisition, where the Democrats are just there to do damage, personal damage, financial damage, professional damage. They just want to wreck the place. They want to loot it. They want to set it on fire, overturn it like it's a police car. The Democrats love that stuff. But let's go. What do we have? Three sound bites of Pete Hegseth now. Pete Hegseth at the confirmation hearing. I say he seems calm, cool, collected, and focused. When you're preparing for your confirmation hearing, and you're Pete Hegseth, you know that they are the Democrats are a lynch mob, and they're there just to damage you, just to hurt you. And they hope that it lasts forever because they're vicious, vituperative, venomous. Any other V words? Varmints. And they don't care about humanity. They care about power, and they want to wreck you. And they all voted for the General Lloyd Austin. Now the law is that you have to have been out of the military for 7 years before you can become Secretary of Defense. But Lloyd Austin was made Secretary of Defense long before that 7-year period had expired. However, that's why Senator Mike Lee, the Republican from Utah, voted against him, because he said, I don't want to bend the law on the requirement that we have, that Congress created, that we don't put military officers in charge of the military as Secretary of Defense. So he said, we're ignoring the law here, Mike Lee did, and so I can't in good conscience vote for Lloyd Austin for no other reason but because we have rules and we have civilian control of the military. But they don't care about the law. The Democrats, the law doesn't apply to them. Pete Hegseth he's talking about restoring our military to its original luster. Its original luster. Give it a good buffing, a good shining, and take it away from the Democrats who think that it's all about having a transgender military and an LGBTQ military and a mostly female military because, you know, the women they know can beat them up most of the time. And so they figure women are toughies because their moms abused them when they were children, and then they met a girl once and she was mean to them. So they went, hey, let's send the women into combat and see what happens. Always good stuff. I don't think they like women. So they don't like men either. They don't like people, what it comes down to. They like cats, especially their women. Cats and being alone. Lonely with cats. Democrats. All right, let's go to Pete Hegseth. I digress again. Pete Hegseth at the confirmation hearing. He was offered the opportunity to rebut some of the slanders that have been hurled his way by the Democrats and the corrupt news media, who are just front group for the Democrat Party. Pete Hegseth.
From the beginning, there was a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated in the media against us. That was clear from moment one. And what we knew is that it wasn't about me. Most of it was about President Donald Trump, who's had to endure the very same thing for much longer amounts of time. And he endured it in incredibly strong ways. So we, in some ways, knew it was coming. We didn't understand the depth of the dishonesty that would come with it.
The depth of the dishonesty and the depravity. Usually it goes to depths of depravity, doesn't it? That would come with it. I could have briefed you on that. They are vicious. And what are the other V words? They're a bunch of V words. And some of them I can't even use here. But that is, I didn't understand the depths that they would sink to. I was not surprised, for example, by the depths that they sank to, because it is their want, it is their way, it is who they are. They are the left, and they will destroy the world given the opportunity to do that. Look at the communist Chinese and Putin and the Castro brothers, who Barack Obama admired and loved and posed with them in front of that giant building-sized mural of Che Guevara, who would have lined Barack Obama up against a wall and shot him with a rifle, because Che Guevara was a vicious racist in addition to being a communist. And I've mentioned this before, but I've talked to liberals before about Che Guevara being a racist, and this happens time and time again. They usually look confused and concerned for a moment and say, but racist against who? Because what they want to hear is against white people, right? Now, he's Latino. He was Latino communist, murderer, mass murderer, and the Democrats love mass murderers because they're the left. This is not John F. Kennedy's party. As Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, his father and his uncle would find the Democrat Party today unrecognizable, and that's 100% true. Yeah, but Barack Obama posing with Che Guevara, who was, I didn't clarify. No, Che Guevara hated black people and said very disparaging things throughout his life about black people not being up to the task of doing anything because he was a racist, see? But never mind that. Now back to the hearing with Pete Hegseth, talking about, I didn't realize the depths. President Trump has been experiencing this for a long time. I just entered the realm, but I didn't think they'd go that far. And, of course, they do go that far. Pete Hegseth.
So from story after story in the media, left-wing media, We saw anonymous source after anonymous source. Based on second or third hand accounts.
Right.
And time again, stories would come out and people would reach out to me and say, I've spoken to this reporter about who you really are, and I was willing to go on the record. But they didn't print my quote. They didn't print any of my quotes.
Well, that's the news media, because it's the filthiest, most corrupt institution in America. They think after-school Satan club for your kids is really good. They think, kindergarten through third grade transgender twerking strippers is good, wholesome education in the United States of America. They're not on the side of civilization. Pete Hegseth is on the side of civilization. I don't know Pete Hegseth. I don't think I've ever met Pete Hegseth. But, he's fine, and he's an Army officer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And how long ago did he leave? I think he may even still be a reservist. Amazing stuff. The Democrat Party. Decorated combat veteran, 2 Bronze Star medals having been awarded, worked at Guantanamo Bay, and all of that good stuff. And the Democrats, they're just not on the side of good. What's it, still in the reserves? Still a reserve officer, which is interesting and does create a bit of a dilemma, at least for Senator Mike Lee. We'll see how he votes. That's very interesting. But again, Lloyd Austin got 93 votes in the Senate. That's an extremely high quotient. Pete Hegseth in the confirmation hearing today.
Instead, a small handful of anonymous sources were allowed to drive a smear campaign, an agenda about me, because our left-wing media in America today, sadly, doesn't care about the truth. All they were out to do, Mr. Chairman, was to destroy me.
Yeah, that's right. That's who they are. That's what they do. They're the left, and they're not on our side. How many times do I have to say it? We were talking in the morning meeting today, and I was talking to my best girl over the weekend, too, about how many things that I've said kind of off the cuff on the radio, including years ago, that have come to be more true than I ever thought that they could be, about the Democrats not being on our side, and the law doesn't apply to them, and so many things, and the Democratic Party isn't. Some of it was just off-the-cuff stuff, and it's turned out to be more true than honestly, than I wish it were. I wish the Democrat Party were more like the Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. They were no saints either, but boy, to have that Democrat Party back would be a gift from God to the entire planet Earth and all of humanity. Because when the United States of America is corrupted, and it has been, the Justice Department, the FBI, the intelligence community, corruptly tampering in our presidential election in 2020, and without consequence, spying on us. We had, James Clapper testifying on Capitol Hill, being asked by Ron Wyden under oath whether the intelligence community is spying on all of us, and he lied under oath and said no.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
Ron Wyden.
No, sir.
Lie.
It does not.
He's shocked.
Not wittingly.
Not wittingly is another lie. That's 2 counts of perjury under oath to Congress. No problem, no consequences, because the Democrat Party doesn't want to lynch him, because the Democrat Party wants to spy on all of us. They collect all of our metadata. Why do you think they're building these giant farms with nothing but hard drives the size of Oklahoma City? They're collecting all of our data, and they can punch your name in at any time and look at all your text messages and your phone calls, and they're spying on all of us. They've become a very fascista government. The rules are simple. They lie to us. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us, but they keep lying to us, said Elena Gorakova of the Soviet Union in her book, A Mountain of Crumbs. But never mind that. Wah, 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 Democrats. And I tell you, I've got friends out there who are watching, and one friend in particular who's, I would say, no fan of President Trump and no fan of Pete Hegseth, and texted, Pete Hegseth is doing well. He's doing well, doing very well. And he is. And, you know, the main thing is to stay calm, cool, and collected while you sit still for all of the insulting, fraudulent assaults, malignant, malicious assaults on your character and on your life, on your service. Remarkable stuff. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Barry, calling from the great state of Arkansas. Barry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, Chris, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I just want to point out how the left changes definitions of things. Specifically, in this case, influence peddling is actually just bribery. And they just change the definition so they don't have to do anything about it when it is an advantage to their side.
I think you're talking about the Biden family, aren't you?
The Biden family and journalists. If it was a Republican that was caught raking in millions and millions of dollars from an adversarial foreign government, it would be bribery, and there would be hearings and charges and impeachments and everything flying left and right. So they just change it to influence peddling so it doesn't sound so bad. Kind of like illegal aliens becoming undocumented immigrants.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. The manipulation of the dialectic, the manipulation of language is rooted in their information dominance, right? And
it is.
And it corrupts everything. It taints everything that they touch. And again, the House of Representatives, Republicans investigated the Biden family's millions. And, you know, members of the Biden family and their associates received more than $20 million in payments just from foreign entities. I'm reading from the House report now, the House Oversight Committee report. More than $20 million, and I think the final number they ended up with was closer to $27 million. And a lot of it from Ukraine, and now Ukraine has got like $200 billion from the Biden administration to fight a war that Vladimir Putin didn't want to fight when Trump was president. Trump is now talking about bringing peace to Ukraine, which might be a good idea. Stop the killing, stop the war. But let me ask you, Barry, who's in charge of bringing peace to Ukraine right now?
Well, nobody.
Right, nobody is the correct answer. That's right. So you're paying attention. You should be the editor of the New York Times. You should be the person in charge of NBC News, because we're supposed to have a fourth estate, a news media that holds feet to the fire, the feet of our elected government officials, the mighty and the powerful. And they don't do that. Our news media doesn't do that. They're a gang of bootlicks for the Democrat Party, and that has completely corrupted our republic. Our constitutional republic cannot function properly when the fourth estate has been corrupted to the extent that it has. And that really is at the root of all of our problems in the United States, is a filthy, corrupt, bought and paid for news media, fourth estate, the genius of our founders who recognized that the ultimate check in our system of checks and balances would be a free democratic society, our constitutional republic, where a free and fair press, and that's the way they wrote it, would be the final check in our system of checks and balances. And if the left realized long ago, if you can corrupt the fourth estate, then the whole project goes to hell. The whole constitutional republic idea, freedom-loving nation, goes to hell when the fourth estate has been corrupted. And right now, sadly, unfortunately, and again, my family has been on the air for 100 years. On the air. Electricity hasn't been around for much longer than that. My family's been on the air for 100 years. And I grew up in this, steeped in it. And I've never seen a fourth estate as corrupt as it is today. I've never heard of a fourth estate as corrupt as it is today. Truly extraordinary stuff. And it's all on the Democrat Party, no doubt about it. Barry, God bless you. Thank you for paying attention and for caring and for being aware. We need 330 million more like you. Senator Jack Reed is a Democrat, and he's from Rhode Island. He's on the Armed Services Committee at the Pete Hegseth hearing, and they embarrass themselves sometimes while trying to embarrass you, trying to humiliate you. And here's Senator Jack Reed, who also spent many years as an Army officer and became a major in the United States Army. But Jack Reed, and of course he went to Harvard because, but he went to West Point and only made it to major West Point. Then master's and his law degree from Harvard because doesn't every Democrat. So here's Jack Reed with Pete Hegseth trying to stick it to him.
Well, by the way, would you explain what a jag-off is?
I don't think I need to, sir.
Why not?
Because the men and women watching understand.
Well, perhaps some of my colleagues don't understand.
It would be a JAG officer who puts his or her own priorities in front of the warfighters. Their promotions, their medals, in front of having the backs of those who are making the tough calls on the front lines. I
got to tell you that our Congress is kind of an embarrassment, and Jack Reed embarrassed himself there. West Point and Harvard Law aside, he became a Democrat, and that's the problem. Now, a JAG officer, of course, the Judge Advocate General Corps, the JAG Corps, is the legal corps in the United States military. United States Army, a JAG officer is the lawyer. The lawyers are here. The JAG officers, and then there is a slang term, jag-off, and if you look that up in the Oxford Dictionary, you'll find that it's chiefly used in western Pennsylvania, and jag-off refers to according to the Oxford Dictionary, a stupid, irritating, or contemptible person. But Senator Jack Reed decided this would be something to seize on there and see if he can turn that into something. And I guess he's hoping that Hegseth would in the end say, well, like yourself, for example, West Point, Harvard Law.